Hey everyone, I'm Nick and welcome to the channel. Now recently you might remember that I put a brake controller in a GMC Yukon. Well, after that I went to take it out for a drive and suddenly my brake pedal went straight to the floor. And it turns out the rear brake lines failed. So it turns out GM at the time wasn't putting coated brake lines in their trucks, so they just rust away and eventually just fail. So today we're replacing the rear brake lines on a 2005 GMC Yukon XL with active brake control, which is the JL4 code, which is 2 lines to the rear wheels. So let's get to it. Let's get this spare out. Oh, okay. Okay. So if you're wondering where your spare wheel tool is, it's actually in this cubby here. There's a little handle, and you pop that out so you can grab it in right here. And in here, there's a whole toolkit strapped in. Okay, so there's a little thing to unscrew. There's even a jack too. There we go. So there's this hook thing that slots over this. I don't know if this has ever been used, honestly. And this unscrews off a stud. You can take it out. And there's a jack, which we won't be using, but let me show you. So you can see that's the stud. This goes on here like this, and it'll hold the toolkit here in place. And there's stitching here to show you where to put it. And I had this side towards the rear. Awesome. So we'll open our little toolkit. 1 extension, 2 extensions, 3. And a handle. So to remove the wheel, we're going to take the 2 identical rods from the kit and assemble them. So just get the end here, line it up, and then we're putting in the open end here into the tube here. And it should catch on. And then we're going to use this part, that square opening, as the handle. So it's going to just slot on the end here. Then we're going to turn it counterclockwise, and you should see the wheel lowering down. But it looks like it's loose, but it's not dropping down. So if you can see right there, the wheel's down, but it's not coming all the way down. And that's because there's a safety catch that's seized up in there. So I was hoping this wouldn't happen, but here we are. So we're gonna go knock it free. So I'm gonna pull the wheel back up, but secure it so it doesn't fall on me. So let's wind this back up clockwise. So what we're gonna do is get a ratchet strap around the wheel onto the frame up there. So we'll hold it in place. I'm gonna actually bring it back all the way up, and then we can strap it, lower it, and access the safety catch with a screwdriver and release it. Then we'll tighten the rope back up, or at least a little bit, pull the ratchet strap off and lower it all the way down. Let's see what we can see here. Oh, you can see it, okay. You see there, that brass colored thing? Kinda there. It's kinda out of focus. That is what we need to push on to release it. See right there? That brass thing? So let's try to do that. Got this kind of lifted centered. Get in here, we're gonna try to, we could get this a little higher actually. The safety mechanism latch has 2 sides, and I started on the wrong one. Okay, there we go. That is loosened here. And I was hitting on the wrong side earlier. So see, there's this side that kind of sticks out. we actually want to push on the opposite side here where it's flat. You can see that slid all the way down. I'm going to push that and it releases it. Now I'm going to wind this up a bit to catch the wheel and I'll loosen the strap. There we go. I'm going to show you here. You can see I ran the strap over that. Let's finish lowering this down. Then you just have to angle this through the opening. And yeah, right here you can see this is the side that you have to push on. I was pushing on this one first, but really it's this side. You gotta kind of, you can probably knock it up this way and it'll release it off the catch in there. And we'll make sure to lubricate all this before we put it back together. All right, so I'm gonna wind that back up. All right. Woo. And you can see up here, I kind of just fished the strap through there. Probably could have gone over here, but I did what I could, and that held it up. Now that we're back here, it's a good time to take a look at the lines. So, you can kind of see in there, maybe. Yep, there we go. See there? Yeah, there we have two fittings for the lines. We're gonna spray those to help release them because we have to undo that. And we have two back here because we have the active brake control. Whereas in the standard, so without JL4, you have a single line that comes back here and then it splits. It follows one line down there and then it splits here. But we have one line per side that comes from the ABS block. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna soak these two back here with PB Blaster, and that way they can soak overnight. They'll be easier to remove tomorrow, hopefully. But you can see these have a bunch of surface rust, whereas the lines down here along the axle are actually in good shape, which is great. Now let's go over to the side and go take a look at the ABS block, where we also have to spray. All right, here we are by the driver door. So we have the door right here. Around the middle of the door, inside the frame, we have our ABS block. And there's two lines that go to the front that are new, that we did a couple years ago. And there's four other lines. Our two up here, right there, those two are gonna be the ones we're replacing. They go, see, they loop up and over towards the back. Then they run in over the top of the frame rail, down, and right here is the bloodbath. So the line up here somewhere failed, and then we're gonna have to run back there and towards the axle. So yeah, just big mess here. I'm basically gonna run over the top. We're gonna take the wheel off and the wheel liner, I think. And we're gonna follow the lines and feed them, remove these and feed the new ones in. So I'm gonna spray the lines up here, spray the lines at the back, let them soak, and hopefully that'll make it easier to remove. All right, so I'm working on loosening these two lines, and I was able to break this one free. And the way I did that is with a little crow's foot line wrench, which is 9/16. And so I was able to get it on, probably from the bottom. I was able to get this on the line. And then with a short extension and a swivel head wrench, I was able to get that in there and work it loose. This one's a little harder to get to. I was able to get a wrench on it, but I wasn't able to turn it with enough leverage because this line is in the way and this one below as well. So I'm gonna get this line out. Hopefully that'll allow me to move this out of the way enough to get that crow's foot on here and break it free, and then I can move on to using my 9/16 wrench right here, which you can kind of reach up over here to get to, or from the side over here by the transfer case. So I'm gonna keep loosening this. I'm gonna finish loosening this one, and then we'll keep going. Right here to illustrate how I broke it free. I've got the crow's foot line wrench, a little short extension, and you can keep turning here. You have to do little by little because of the frame here, and just so you don't bang into stuff, but you can work it free. This is a little wobble socket because it gives it a little more play in the head so that the wrench itself can clear the lines. So once it's loose, I was able to keep going a little faster with the 15mm open wrench, but you only want to use this once it's loose. If you can get a 9/16 short wrench like this, it'll work well as well. So you can get in here, just turn, and keep it going. Because with longer wrenches, you hit the floor up there. So I think actually now it's probably loose enough to go by hand. And I'm gonna get a paper towel because I don't want this to spill right on my face, and here it comes. So I've got a shop towel. The reason I'm pulling this back is if I can't get this out right away, it'll give me a little more room to get to this one. And I'm gonna work on the next one. This is a little hard to see there, but that is there's a clip right there. And that's actually that black thing right here. And it can split in half. You can kind of see the hinge there. So I gotta loosen that so that this line can move out of the way. Working from the side here, trying to get a screwdriver or a tool like that to free it up. And I'm hoping that that'll allow me to move this line enough that I can get that one out. All right, so I was able to push this line out of the way and fit this in, so that should allow me to break this free with the line wrench claw foot or crow's foot. So I'm gonna break that free, and then hopefully I can use a smaller wrench to work in here. So let's get that done. All right, so now we're at the back here. And right here you can see the two lines at the rear, the same two lines but at the rear. And I was actually able to break them free using a couple of extensions and the crow's foot. So I was able to fish that in right in here, get it on, and break them free. So now I think I can keep loosening them with the regular wrench. You can actually see one of the clips right here. We're gonna have to undo, I think. It comes back like that. There we go, and then they clip in there. And for the one on the outside, I used the long extension with the crowfoot line wrench. And so then I was able to kind of work it slowly with the wrench. It only goes up to there. Gonna have to reach under here. Angle it on there, and then work it free. It's a bit of a pain, but it's finally starting to turn pretty easily. And at a certain point, it'll be loose enough to go by hand, and you can pull it off. And then here, we can just pull these back, and they'll pop out up here. Cool. All right, that's the back. Still gotta go back to the front, make a little more progress there. All right, so got the second line out right here. Once I got it loose enough with the crow's foot, I went in with my little 15 and kept unscrewing it. Now it's loose. I've managed to pop the clip out here, the black one in there. But now as we move further down, we're gonna go past this cross beam here, and you can kind of see in there, that gray clip is one of the clips we're gonna have to take out or separate. And you see the lines stacked in there. And as we move further back, you can see the lines in there. This is where the leak is. I think there's a clip right here. Yeah, I think in there. It's a black clip. We'll have to check in here. Oh, yep, there's one here probably. I think these lines are behind it. So we're probably gonna have to pull this harness off and out of the way. Not off, but just out of the way. Then we can keep going back. And we're actually gonna need to take the wheel off because the line goes up over the frame rail here. So we're gonna have to pull the wheel off, pull the wheel liner off, and follow the line up the frame rail and in. So we're gonna get trim tool to pull these center caps off, get the wheel off, and then we'll keep going. All right, now we have to remove this wheel liner so we can access the top of the frame and the line. So we've got 2 clips here, and then we have some screws over here, there, and then behind the mud flap. So I'm actually gonna have to remove the mud flap, which is 3 Phillips head screws. And then on this side, we've got 3 other screws, and these are 7mm. So I'm gonna start with these. All right, so I'm gonna use a little trim tool. See, once you pull the center out, it'll release it. There we go, same thing. The pin essentially pushes those prongs apart and secures it in the body. So 7mm here. Break them free by hand. And then the one there. Now we gotta find out where the line is. Where are they? Okay, you can kind of see them right there. Yep, you can see there's a clip here. So I think they're clipped in right here. And again here. You can see them there, right here. So for these clips, I was able to push up the harness, and you can kind of see right here, there's like a little tab that clips in here, and this side pivots out. But to free it more easily, I was able to like kind of wedge a screwdriver in here and push this out and release that. So now these lines are clipped in still, but I can pop them out, and then I'll be able to put the new lines in there after. So could probably pop this back down at this point. Up here is the same thing. It'll be a little hard to reach, but I will pop that clip out as well. And then that is the last one back here. And this one down here does not hold the lines. So that clip holds the big harness, but not the lines. All right, so I'm gonna work on that clip here. The one out back was easy, we saw that earlier. And from here they go in. And then I'll have to go do the other 2 further in. I'm gonna pry out the harness from there. Okay, I'm gonna have to like figure out how to push them out of there, out of the clips, because they're clipped in as well as the catch. So might be a matter of banging them out of place with something to like push on them. I found that using a wood dowel, a little hammer, can help knock the lines out of the holders. So I got this side out. Now they're like loose. I gotta do those, and then we'll see further down there what we could do. Okay, right there, there's a clip. I was able to use a long screwdriver or pick to like pop that off and then pull the lines out of the holder as well. So they're loose here. I actually used a long pick to open that and then used it to push the lines out of the holder. So now we're gonna keep moving back. We got a little further to go. Gotta just identify where the last one is, which I think is under the jack stand, unfortunately, in here. So we're gonna see. Now it's time to remove the old lines. I went back and forth between the rear and the ABS block to make sure the lines were free, and then started pulling out the part of the rear lines that goes towards the center of the truck. Okay, so I've pulled this line out, but it's mounted, it's like still stuck, and from what I've gathered, the best way to remove the line is just to cut it in segments and pull it out. So we're gonna start working on that. I did find out that my rear level sensor is damaged and I've ordered a replacement one. But what I'm gonna do also is actually remove the mounting point so that I can pull this harness out a little further out of the way, which will help later. It's not super likely that you'll have this because it's part of the auto ride system, which is pretty uncommon. But if it is in the way, you can undo this, remove that, disconnect it, pull the harness out of the way. All right, there's a little hook that ensures that this panel stays in the right place. I'm just gonna lift it off, see it right here. And we just put my bolt in here, put it out of the way. And right now, pull this out, I think, or out of the way a little bit. There's a little gray clip on that line that goes off. I'm gonna undo it so it'll let me raise it up a little more, just because we'll be running the lines down that way. All right, now I'm gonna cut this. Yeah, a little line cutter. I later found out that this wasn't absolutely necessary, but if you need to use a line cutter, this is how it works. Okay, I'm gonna cut the line back here. This is the part that goes over into the center. And then I'll be able to pull it out of the way. Okay, so I have found another clip. Let's see, can we see it? Yeah, so I think I could see it there, yeah. I pulled the harness out of it, but behind it there are actually clips that hold the lines in. So I was wondering why these lines weren't moving, and it's because they are clipped in back there, so. There, yeah, there it is. Oh no. Okay, you can kind of see it there, yeah, finally. Nope. It's a little hard to get it in focus. There, you can kind of see it there. Gotta prop that off. And that should give us some better access. So I'm gonna get in there and work on removing that, which is behind this body mount. We're on an XL, so it might be a little different if you have a non-XL, but yep. All right, I'll get that out. All right, so I've undone the clip here, and then there was another one along the gas tank right around here. Actually, that's kind of where the leak happened, or the line failed. And I was able to undo those, and now they're finally loose. I was actually able to start pulling this back. But you can actually see, I was able to pull the line from here to here, right there. But that harness is gonna hook the line, and it's gonna cause us problems because I can't really rotate it out of the way. So what I'm gonna do is actually undo this harness here for the ABS pump. So you push that down. This should come out, I think. As I was able to get the lever back, and now I have to actually remove the connector. So it's kind of jammed in there. And it comes down like that, the whole assembly. And we can kind of, there we go. Move that up. Now we should be able to route that line under it, hopefully. Your connector may look different if you have the 5-line version, but since we have the active brake control, it has 2 lines going to the rear. This is what the connector looks like. Okay, so here's where we're at. We've got the lines here, but you can see it's hooked this way, and since we're trying to slide them out back, this hook is gonna catch on stuff. So what I'm gonna do is cut the line here or something. You can kind of bend it over out of the way. Now we're gonna cut there and pull it out from the back. I also have to get the other one back into this area, cut it, and then I can slide it out the back. So I'm using my little pipe cutter again. I'll cut that, and then we should be able to pull them all the way out through the rear wheel well. Because as we go through, the tank is kind of in the way. Like there's just stuff like mounting and the frame and all that, or the body that gets in the way. And going back in when we feed the new lines through, since the hook shape is the other way, it should be able to slide in relatively easy compared to this, which would catch on anything. All right, so I cut the end on one. Oh, that's where the line broke. Right here, the big hole. There we go. Oh, this one broke too. Where's the other piece? As you can see right here, this one also broke. So as I was pulling it out, just kind of tore off. So there's definitely some weakness in that area. That's where I cut it. That's the other piece, another line that was definitely weakened here. You can see more corrosion. The rest of the line's okay, but there must have been one spot in there, maybe around one of the clips that was that accumulated something over time and, you know, wore it out. But they are out, and that is good. Our next step is going to be to prep the new lines. So for the new lines, we're going to feed them along this way. I'm going to get some help, and then I'll guide them along the frames the best I can, and we'll feed them in, and we'll kind of work the backs of the lines in place there, and then we'll attach them at the front and the rear, and then try to clip them in along the frame rail, and then we can move on to bleeding the brakes and all that. And also I have the new sensor, so I'll be putting that in place as well. Okay, so here we have our two lines. Get the one with the tight turn, tight curve, slightly wider curve. These are all coated. And you can actually see, let's see, right here we need to unfold them. So this has to be straightened between these two pieces of tape. And then same thing over here. So this end is the rear lines that will go in the back. And this is gonna open up. So they'll be one long stretch. You can kind of see here the shape. So they start side by side, and then they move on to be one over the other. So you can use a line bender. I found that 5/16 fits the best in here. Get that straightened out. Get this straightened out. I'm going to do the other one. So I'm getting it started by hand and then straightening it out. See here, I actually bent a little next to the thing, so I'm going to straighten that out too. Looks pretty good. That looks good. Pretty straight. Awesome. Now we gotta slide them in. Alright, so we have to go under this stuff back here. So I'm gonna try to bring it in this way, under this harness, and then down that way. Okay, it's gonna be interesting. So these are gonna have to end up facing the other way. With help holding the lines up, I was able to slide the new brake lines in most of the way towards the front. Unfortunately, we realized it wouldn't be possible to rotate the lines in place, so we pulled the lines back out and turned them into the orientation they needed to be at the ABS pump. A couple of times I needed to slide one line forward first and then the other when they got a little stuck, and the rest of the time just guided them in place underneath the truck. It's also really helpful to have a hand because you don't want the lines to scratch up your paint on the rear quarter. They're pretty much in place. Okay. I mean, I have to clean the things a bit because they picked up some dirt on the way. And now it's time to feed in the other end of the lines towards the center of the truck. Okay, so here's where we are. I have to pull these lines back out because they're behind here, behind this, which is fine, but they have to go under, and right now they're going over this harness, unfortunately. So I may actually have to kind of tweak the bends and then re-bend them once they're in place, because I have to go under the harness and then under the filler neck to the fuel tank, which is very difficult. So this is not ideal, honestly, and it's a bit frustrating. So I'm gonna try to do that. Yes. Okay. And this one can go behind. You also want to make sure you go over this plastic line or whatever material it is. Alright, I have to feed this over the, push the line in, take it under. I have to rebend these into position. Oh. There. Okay, they're in position. Alright, it's in position, and now next I'll be able to tighten them all into place. And then clip everything in if I can. Alright, right here, the lines are there too. I have to clean them off a bit and then put them in. This is a bit recap. The way I put them in is I put them in the orientation they have to be up there. So with the hook kind of that way. Then fed them in with some help pushing. Did get stuck on a harness in a couple spots in there, and I had to like use a tool to kind of push the harness out of the way carefully. And then sometimes you might have to push one further than the next and try to guide it. And then at the back, as we just saw, you kind of gotta run it under the harness, which can be a little tough. And it might bend a bit out of shape, but at the back we'll push it back into the right position before we screw them in. And then we'll hopefully be able to clip them in back there behind the harness, and then along the frame as well in the right place. All right, so I've cleaned off the threads. One thing I noticed is you might want to wrap those to protect them with like some sort of masking tape before you pull it through, just to keep them cleaner. But yeah, just make sure they're clean. And now we're gonna put in this one in first, and then tighten it up, and then we'll put that one in and tighten it up. All right, so I'm gonna clean the threads, pop those in, tighten them up. We'll be good to go. Now right here, I did notice that this like line holder, we'll see once those are screwed in, if these can fit in. Maybe I'll have to like flex it into place to lock them in. Pretty close. I don't know, I might have bent a bit here when we put them in. It's a little hard to fit these in between the frame and the body without kind of tweaking them a little, so we'll try to tweak them back. But yeah, we'll get those in and we'll keep going. Okay, so since I wasn't able to bend this line flat again, now that it's all strapped in, I did put some zip ties. I used the David Freiberger zip tie trick, put one in between to keep them separated. Did that here as well, and then I put another one right there. Now they're kind of locked in together. The one is clipped into the little clip there. This feels nice and secure. Now I might go down the frame too and see if there's other spots where I can zip tie them together if needed, if I feel like they need it. But next step is gonna be to put the wheel liner back in. Yeah, we're all buttoned up in there. Okay, so I've actually managed to clip in the lines here and here, which is really good. So this is in place. Now I have to replace this sensor because it's broken. So you might not have it, it's not a huge deal. Just if you do and you buy new ones, don't bother trying to replace this. It comes as the whole assembly. I twisted a T20, so I ordered 30 replacements for my bits. Anyway, I'm gonna take this off because it actually comes with the whole thing. So this is also 13. And right here we have our brand new part. Each corner has a different shape. The fronts have a completely different style, but these are not the same. They're the plate is different, is mirrored on the other side. So this is gonna hook on here. So, all right. All right. Okay, so I'm at the rear. I've got a hose on my bleed port. Got a bottle to catch the fluid. 10mm wrench on it. I've already made sure this is loose. And I've got an assistant in the car And we're gonna bleed this, so I guess you wanna push down? Oh yeah, and before I did all this, I topped up the reservoir up front, up to the max line, and I'll check on it after each wheel. So just push it, hold it down.
Yep.
Okay, closed. Oh, we're getting fluid starting. Okay, up. All right, so I had a little leak up at the ABS pump. I was able to tighten things up, and it looks good now. So we're gonna keep going. Oh yeah, we have fluid in the tube now somehow. And I guess it wasn't quite tight enough. Up. 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 I'm not getting any bubbles yet. Oh, I guess we're bleeding out the fluid in the axle lines.
Down.
Oh, bubbles. Yep. Oh, yeah, I didn't get much this time. Yeah, no bubbles this time. We're back at the rear left and we're working our way to the closest wheel to the master cylinder, so this is the second in the order. It's starting to go. It is gross on this side, okay.
What's gross?
The fluid coming up.
Okay.
Up. On this side we did the same thing as on the other, but we went a little longer to bleed out more dirty fluid. Alright, we're at front right now. I checked the rear fittings. It's good. So I think we are all good on our lines that we replaced, and now we just have to check the bleed on the fronts, and we can test it on the road. No bubbles, so we can move on to the last corner. Let's go.
Down.
Got one bubble. Up.
Up. Down.
Yeah, this is just fluid now. Up. One more. Down.
Down.
Up.
Up.
Alright. Alright, we have our fluid level here. I had it up to here, and the whole bleed process brought it down here. So I'm going to top it back up to max, and we're using DOT3 as is written right here. So I'll top that up. Alright. For the spare mechanism, I sprayed some PB Blaster, then some white lithium grease, so hopefully it won't get stuck in place again. Alright. Put the rim towards the bottom like it was. Put that up. Now I can go put the wheels back on and test it on the road. So that's the job done. The brake lines are in, the brakes are working fine, and the truck's ready to be back on the road. I gotta say, it's a pretty big job, but if you take your time finding all the clips to remove the lines and take your time feeding them back in, it should go smoothly. If this video helped you out, don't forget to leave a like, and if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. If you want to see more content like this, which is usually me working on cheap European cars, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.